Hello, this is another video in creating a fighting fantasy style um, visual novel in AGS. So we created our character creation screens and we got that all coded up, so we have stats that we can use. So this is obviously one of the main features of the game, is really, reading text and making choices. So we're going to set up our page. So I'm going to create some buttons. So image, let's import, if we go to assets, and buttons. It's not a very good icon, I think, for this, but this is our status screen. It's going to show us our current stats and level, and when we level up, we can spend points there. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our inventory button. So again, this is so we can open and close our inventory. Let's create another button. Import that, and this is going to be a map button. So you may want to have a map in your game, you may not. In the old days, we used to have to use a pen and paper and draw our maps out. But we'll write a system anyway that allows us to do that. And then I'm going to create a options screen button. So here we can display the game options: sound volume, sound effects volume, music volume, load and save, reset, quit, all that kind of usual stuff. Then we're going to create some buttons for our room choices. So let's import, I have a lot of this already set up, so I'm just going to import this in. And I also have a mouse over image for this. So when your mouse rolls over these options, that the little image changes. I'm going to change the alignment of the text to the middle left. I'm also going to set the visibility to false, because we want to choose and decide whether we show the button or not, because some rooms may have all the choices that you're going to have set up. Other rooms might not have any, or two, or one. So I'm also going to change the push image to be the same as the mouse over. And I'm also going to change the clickable to false as well. We'll be switching this on when we choose to actually visually display the button. So for example, you might have, check door, obviously without silly, and that might be one of your options, for instance. Send back. So I can click on this. Is it because it's locked? Send back. Okay. Lock. And I'm going to extend this out to basically as long as I think an options text should be. And that will make sense. Basically, when you roll over any part of the word, you want the image to change for your button. So that's our choice. So I'm going to copy and paste this. Copy, paste, paste, paste. Okay, so now we have 4 options. You may want to have more options than that, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to try and stick with 4. And so let's start naming these with some unique object names, so we can manipulate them in the script. So I'm going to call this B status. Probably won't mess around with too much of this just yet. The inventory tutorials will probably take a good chunk of time. So this is going to be B map. B options this is going to be B choice 1, B choice 2, B choice 3, and B choice 4. And I'm going to get rid of this text because it was just for an example. So I'm going to get rid of the text for all of these. Because again, when we build our extended function that handles these buttons, we're going to be able to set what the text is for our choices. So they're just out the road. We'll set their position as well. Okay, so that's the bulk of the setup done. So I suppose before we did all that, I could have said that there was probably lots of different ways of doing this. You could use dialogues, and all of say all of the different options and things you can do in a room could just be in one big dialogue, and then the next room you go into would be dialogue 2 and dialogue 3, and you would use script like L title dot text equals, and then you would set your room title here, and then your room text, and set all your options for the room and show and hide them. But I found that you tend to lose a bit of control doing it this way. So I like to do everything actually in the room script itself. So what I do is I'm going to create a folder called B1. I'm just going to drag this into B1. So in this example, the player wakes up in a basement. So there may be multiple pages in that single room. So there's the setup, kind of, why you're there, what you can see, and then what you can do. But then there may be, you select a choice and you might be able to check some shelves in that room, or listen at the door in that room, or look out of a window in that room. And all of these things are happening in B1. So B1 will have multiple pages. And then when you leave that room and go to the next room, I would create a new folder, call that B2, and that might be a corridor, and you're walking down the corridor, trying different doors, interacting with points of interest, various things like that. So you're going to end up with a lot of rooms, but that's no big deal. So here I'm going to load up the room, the actual room, and go to the events tab, and you can see here we've got our enters room before fade in. So we want our text. There's already a function that loads up our GUI, but we want our text to also be set before the room loads in. Otherwise, we'll just see this test, and then all of a sudden our room text will blink in, and it just doesn't look very good. So it's very easy to change the text in a label. So it's just L title dot text equals, and that's it. It's simple. So I'm going to just type in brick room, and then for our actual what we can see, I think it's L body, L text body, isn't it? Dot text equals. Now I must warn you, I'm not Shakespeare, so it's probably gonna read a bit silly, but don't worry about it. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna put my best writer's head on. So as you open your eyes, a splitting pain races through your skull. That sounds good. you find yourself lying on a workbench in a dank, dripping cellar. So each line it has a maximum of 255 characters. That includes everything. 255 characters. So the moment you go over 255 characters, if you try and run the game, you'll get a compile error, and you'll have to delete stuff. So there's a way around that, and it is simple as text.body.text equals l text.body.text.append. And what that is that simply puts this line right onto the end of this line. Okay. So another cool thing you can do with text is if I put two square brackets here, two left square brackets, you can see each one of these represents like a return in your text. So that essentially will be a gap. So here, let's carry on trying to think of things. With your vision still spinning, you manage to sit up and gather your bearings. I don't know if this is sounding good or not. I don't know. The smell of rich damp attacks your senses. And also, I don't like to make a line go too long, because I don't really want to be having to scroll horizontally, because it starts becoming a kind of a nuisance. It's just harder to read. So I'll just, I can do this as many times as I like. Equals l text.body.text.append. Whoever attacked you dropped you here like a piece of meat ready for butchering. Lovely jubbly. Very nice. So let's run that, and we shall see the fruits of our labour. So we're going to create a name. Seth. Sounds good. Roll, roll, roll. Continue. We're going to stick all our points in weaponry. Continue. So here we go. So we have our title, and then we have our text. We have our buttons, which at the moment don't do anything. We also have our room options here, which are obviously hidden and disabled, and we'll be setting that up in the next video. I don't know what text I'm using here. But as you can see, we've also, with those square brackets that we put in on that first line, that's obviously created this return and then this gap. So we have two kind of paragraphs. So in the next tutorial, we're going to look at we're going to probably do an extended. We'll write an extended function that we can import in, and which will set our options and position and text and everything else. So I shall see you in the next video.